only been here once before and I missed it. You just test me. You're not.
Hey, it's not televised. It's not on the stream.
We're not streaming.
You want us to
Keep starting to just kind of run stream.
I'll pop it now.
The best dealer here.
Yeah, we're not streaming right now.
He's a legend in his own mind.
Is the button right? What's going on?
Can I get a water, please?
Microphone check 1 2 1 2.
Who's on the other end of the headset? Lorenzo. See here, see remote. I didn't see it. The guy in the window. Are we 5-1 now?
We want to welcome everyone for tuning into Poker House Fort Worth, the $1,500 guaranteed $100 re-entry tournament. And checking out the sound here. Give me just 1 second. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Brennan said just should have popped in tonight. There's still 30 minutes left of registration. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3. All right, everybody, it looks like we are good to go. This is the $100 re-entry, $1,500 guaranteed tournament. I hope everyone can hear me just fine. I am in West Texas. This is Reese. I am at Kojak's Poker Club in Midland, Texas, doing a live cast here of tonight's tournament. There are 2 tables right now, and looks like there's about 30 minutes left of registration. So if you are listening and or watching it nearby, you're taking about 30 minutes to get into this tournament. Like I said, it's a $1,500 guarantee. We have quite a few entries. It's only a $100 entry and a $100 re-entry, and you can still get in, like I said, for about 30 more minutes. Bringing you the main table live here on Poker House Fort Worth YouTube and Facebook. And we have one outer table as well, and we're going to play this down to the winners. Ace 4 ace on this flop. No one here with an ace in their hand, but Bone going to be betting this one out. I'm sorry, Jim betting this one out. And good lead there. The chip stacks are about as accurate as we can get them. We have Renzo in the control room doing a fantastic job getting in their names and their chip stacks. And of course, as we have people coming and going as table balance is needed for tournaments, we'll get the chip stacks updated as best as possible. So they're going to be close regardless. We are 6-handed here at the feature table. Again, this is a $100 no limit hold'em re-entry tournament. Like I said, right about 30 minutes left to get into this thing if you're in the area. And maybe get sat right here at the live stream table. We're going to be trying to bring you this tournament live every Friday. So give yourself a chance to play on stream if you'd like. Pretty fun, pretty affordable tournament, $1,500 guaranteed. KJ getting pocket jacks. Here, going to raise it up to 3,500. The blinds are 500 and 1,000, so a 3.5x raise. Ship in under the gun who limped in is going to come along as well with his king 4 of clubs. Ace, deuce, king. So the king 4 is going to jump ahead of the pocket jacks, but KJ is going to see where he's at here. Maybe could represent the ace here. Yeah, and Ship is just going to automatically ship it in. So no call there by KJ with the 2 overs on the board. Nothing to do with jacks there. Good to see bet to see where you stand, and he found out real quick. Everyone playing in this tournament is getting their points for the qualifier, and that qualifier is almost here next weekend. Next weekend, people are earning points right now for their chip stack in the qualifier. It is the first of 3 qualifiers once a month to get into that $20,000 free roll tournament. The only way you get into that tournament is to play in one of the qualifiers and get in the top 15%. Earn your chip stack along the way by playing in cash games, tournaments. We have high hands, many ways to add to your chip stack for the qualifier, which is coming up in right at a week. KJ now on the button wakes up with ace, king of diamonds, going to raise this up to 2,300. Vu going to make the call with the ace 6 offsuit. Ship wants to come along with his queen jack offsuit. So we're going to go 3 ways to a flop. 7, 6, 9. Vu going to be bottom paired. No diamonds on the flop for KJ. This one's going to check around with a queen on the turn, giving Ship now the lead with top pair. He's going to bet 2,300 and a quick call with the 2 overs there by KJ. Vu all decked out in the poker house gear. Love to see it. Lets his bottom pair go. So we're going to go heads up to this river. KJ looking for an ace or a king to take down this hand from Ship. And does hit the king on the river. So overcards called by KJ there and does pay off. Ship's going to be the one to bet into him here. No world that KJ is going to fold now that he's making top pair. You might even see a raise. Looked like a red chip, which is a $5,000 chip, went into that middle of the table there. And it looks like he did in fact raise. And I don't know if Ship's going to be able to make this call here. Your opponent could have called the turn with some spades, having the king of spades in their hand. And at that point, hitting that king on the river does beat your queen. But he's not quite folding just yet. Looking at the pot there to see if it's worth the call. About 4,000 more to call to win 20. So he's going to be right just enough amount of the times and goes ahead and does make that call. And he's going to get the bad news from KJ that he floated across there on that turn to sail away with the king on the river. So some of those pocket jack chips that Ship picked up from KJ in the last hand get brought right back over to KJ's stack. Again, if you are watching or listening from near the Poker House Fort Worth area around Burleson, Texas, not a whole lot of time left. Let me look at the live clock here. You got a little over about 25 minutes to still get in this tournament. So hopefully you're close and you can make it over to Poker House Fort Worth and still get into this tournament. It's only a $100 buy-in, $1,500 guaranteed tournament. And hopefully you make it down far enough in this tournament that you get here on the live stream, because we're going to take you all the way down to the winners. Under the gun here, Jim Pocket 5 is going to just limp in here. Ship going to come along as well with Jack 4 offsuit, and Zach going to check his option with the Queen 7. A King 7-4 flop for these 3 players. That's going to give middle pair there for Zach, bottom pair there for Ship. And it looked like a Ship bet there to kind of get a feel of where he was at, called by Zach. No, it was actually, was called by Zach. Dealer Paul there making change. Deuce on the turn doesn't change anything. Ship slowing down a little bit here. Checks it over to Zach. See what Zach wants to do with his option here. Does check it as well. So we're going to go to a river, which is an 8. Does not change anything. Ship may fire one more bullet here. Looks like he is. And we'll see if Zach looks him up here. That check on the turn Definitely took away the aggression on the hand, but he does go ahead and lay it down. So a good bet there by Ship to take down that pot there. Blinds are 500 and 1,000 right now. And just like in normal tournaments, they do go up. So a little bit different than what you're used to seeing on these live streams. This is actually tournament play, not cash game play. This is tournament play. It's going to be a little bit different action here. And we've actually got quite a few people watching on it, YouTube and Facebook. So let me know who do you know in the tournament? Who are you rooting on? Who are you hoping to see here on the live stream? Like I said, this is our feature table. We have an outer table as well. So there's other players in the tournament. They are just on the outer table. There will be people moved back and forth from the tables as we maintain balance. 3 clubs, king, 6, ace on this flop. Jim's going to bet this one out there and not going to have any takers, so he'll take down this small pot. There you see the chip counts. Like I said, they were as accurate as we can get them. KJ currently the leader with 98.4K. Zach behind him with 51. Jim right there with Zach at 49. Then Vu and Ship both around 30, high 30,000 in chips. And then Bone in the 6th seat with 16.6K. But plenty of time left to play for these players as the lines are only 500 and 1,000. Ship waking up with pocket 10s. See what he wants to raise it up here. Pretty healthy raise to 6,000. Zach and Jim both folding over to Bone with the ace jack offsuit. This is the one that I mentioned that only has 15,000 in his stack, and he does go ahead and ship it in. I like the play. Can't really call 6,000 when you only have 15,000 more, and you're about to be in the blinds, which you're going to put in more money in the middle. So Ship's going to make this call here. So Bone looking for a good double up. Trying to pick up an ace or a jack to take the lead over Ship's pocket 10s. And we are headed to a flop. Ace 8-3. So Bone going to spike the ace on this flop. Now just needing to dodge one of the last 2 10s of the deck. And does succeed in doing so. So Bone out races Ship. The ace jack besting the pocket 10s. And so Bone gets the much needed double up here with the ace jack. Bone there with the knight chess piece card protector. Haven't heard from quite a few people that he is quite the chess player himself. Now, if you are watching the live stream, it says hand number 15, but that was just from when we started the stream, so you can ignore that for the tournament count overall. Blinds look like they might have been raised. Vu's going to call 2,000 with 7-6 suited Ship, going to put in the remainder of his chips after losing just under half his stack with the pocket 10s. Going to put it all in with ace, queen. It's going to fold all the way back around to Vu, who I don't think could make the call, but he does have quite a few chips here. And this is a re-entry tournament. Some players like to gamble a little bit while there's still registration to be had. Counting how much. He does have one of those hands that can run down big hands, those suited connectors. And he does make the call. I do like the call. Like I said, it definitely one of those hands that can run down any large hands. So Ship is going to be in the lead here with the ace queen offsuit, and a pretty sizable pot here. So on this flop, 9-10 king. So Vu does pick up an 8 for a straight. Need an 8, 7, or a 6. It does not get there, so Ship's ace queen is going to hold. And so he's going to get those chips back that he lost with those pocket 10s last hand. Again, I like the call by Vu. This is a re-entry tournament. You'll see players gamble a little bit more while registration is open to re-enter the tournament. Try to spin up a good stack. It is a $1,500 guaranteed prize pool, so there's definitely some room for entering. Yeah, the blinds did go up last hand, 1,000, 2,000 now to these players. Ship going to be the first one to act with the 9-8 offsuit. He's been in every single hand, decides to finally let one go. Zach folding over to Jim, who decides to make the call with 3 deuce of clubs. Absolutely like it. KJ picks up KJ. If you're going to name yourself that on stream, you better play any KJ you do get. So we're going to have 3 ways to a flop, 5, 5, 4. So open-ended here for Jim. Vu picks up the pair of 4s, and he's going to rip it all in. 19,000 to go. Jim with a pretty healthy stack of 47,000. Does he want to gamble with his open-ended here? He's getting a countdown here of Vu's chips. See if he wants to gamble a little bit here for the open-ended straight draw. And decides to let it go this time, so Vu is going to pick up those chips. Again, tournament play works a little bit different than cash game play. You got to make some moves. You've got to stay ahead of those blinds, and every pot that you pick up allows another orbit of safety as those blinds do come by, and they come by quicker right now while we have 2 shortish handed tables, only 6 players at the main table, and we maintain balance just like we would any other tournament. So they could have 5, 6, or 7. The stream is 15 minutes in the past. We operate on a 15-minute delay, so I can't quite look and see how many players are still in the tournament because it may or may not be accurate since it's on a delay. Jim in the hijack has a queen, jack of spades. Looks like he grabbed some raising chips there, put them across the line. He does raise it up to 4,000. Vu going to come along protecting his small blind with the 9-3 of diamonds. So 2 diamonds on this flop of king 6 5. Vu picking up the flush draw, and immediately it goes all in, and Jim's going to have to let this one go as his queen jack doesn't have much help. So Vu slowly chipping back up after losing that one race there. Once again, we want to welcome everyone tuning in to Poker House Fort Worth on Facebook and YouTube. Anything you'd like to comment on or tell me where you're listening or watching from, or a player you know that's playing in this tournament that you're rooting on, I see both chat screens. Jim looking down at the same hand he had last time, but in the unsuited variety, queen, jack. Looks like he's going to make the same bet he did last time as well, raising it up to 4,000. KJ going to make the call with the 8-7 offsuit. Vu, who seems to be pretty active so far on this tournament stream, king 10 offsuit coming along as well. And he does have the button to play on there as well. To a flop of 6-9 ace. Open-ended for KJ, and that is about it for the field. Does check around to a 6 on the turn, no help, and a 4, check, 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 4 on the river. Doesn't change anything. Vu has the best hand at the moment, and is just going to check all the way around. And the king high is going to take down this hand here for Vu. So he's back up to almost 45,000 in chips. Roller coaster just like that. Nothing wrong with getting in there and gambling a little bit while the registration is still open and you can re-enter the tournament. Dealer Paul in the box for this live stream tournament. We'll be rotating the dealers through just like we do in all the tournaments. Got quite a few dealers lined up to deal this tournament tonight on the live stream as well. Bone into the gun, making the fold. KJ coming along for 2,000. Limps in with ace-7 offsuit. Ship on the button, waking up with pocket deuces. Calls the 2,000. Looked like, yep, and then seed 5 there, going to check his option. Deuce 5-10. So Ship has found himself a set. Unfortunately for him, it doesn't look like anybody else has anything to do with the hand. So anything he bets here, yeah, it's just going to fold on through, and he goes ahead and shows the set. Showing a little strength maybe for later when he decides to run a bluff. So a great hand to make, but just like any other poker hand, you have to have an opponent with some sort of equity to make any money. And in that one, the bottom set does go wasted, as no one else had a 10 or a 5 or anything else to come along with. Blinds are 1,000, 2,000. And we are 6-handed at this feature table. So the blinds do come along pretty quickly when you're shorter handed. KJ under the gun here, 2,000 to play. Threw in a red chip, not sure if he said raise. He did raise it to 5,300. Queen Jack suited. Zach in the 4th seat looking down at ace. Jack makes the call. And then Bone in the big blind here. Pocket jacks. Let's see if he decides to just make the call, if he decides to go ahead and announce himself here. Looks like he did go all in for 33-6. So KJ's got a lot of chips. He can definitely afford to make the call if he believes he might have 2 overcards to Bone if he has a pocket pair, or live cards if Bone just has like an ace-king. But it's not for an insignificant amount of his chips here. So he's definitely thinking about it, but he does make the call. Wow. And Zach here, yeah, he's going to let the ace-jack go. So KJ here looking up Bone and is not going to be happy about what he sees. Bone's pocket jacks versus KJ's queen jack of diamonds. KJ looking for a queen or a lot of diamonds or some straight cards here to run down these pocket jacks of Bone. Otherwise, Bone's going to have a very nice stack, 73,000 in this tournament. So Paul setting up here to run this out. Pocket jacks versus queen jack, and a very, very good flop for the queen jack. 9-10-3 open-ended, looking for an 8 or a king. Ace on the river doesn't change anything at all. There are 3 clubs now on the board. The 4 of spades doesn't change, so the pocket jacks will hold. Good flop there for the king, for KJ with the queen jack, but just cannot complete the straight. And Bone's going to be very healthy with that $73,000 chip stack. So big double up there for Bone, as KJ decided to gamble with the queen jack. Blinds are 1,000, 2,000. Vu looking down at 9-5 offsuit, decides to not get involved. Ship now waking up with pocket kings. Quite some decent hands here on this live stream. Going to raise this up to 6,000. Not a very big raise. Trying to look, maybe get some action or maybe a 3-bet out of some of these players. Zach with a king in his hand lets it go, taking away one of Ship's outs. Jim looking down at 7-6 of hearts, decided not to get involved. Queen 9 from Bone. And KJ waking up with pocket aces. What a train wreck here. And obviously he reaches for some raising chips, which is going to cause Ship to put the rest of his chips in the middle here. KJ 3-bets to 17,000. There's the all-in by Ship. And the snap call by KJ. And so this hand plays itself just as predicted. And now Dealer Paul will count up KJ's stack here. Like I said, our chip counts are going to be as close as we can, but it's not an insignificant pot. It's a pretty decent sized pot here. As Dealer Paul relays the chip stack information to Lorenzar, our control board person, does a fantastic job for these live streams. Looks like we're looking at almost an $80,000 pot. So big pot here on this cooler of a hand. And we saw one of the kings has already been folded. So Ship only really has one out here. Jack 8-8, not going to do it. One last king in the deck for Ship. Can he find it on this river? Does not. So KJ going to take the rest of Ship's chips and build his chip stack back up that he lost there to in the last hand to put him back over the 90K mark. So just a typical cooler there. In this style of tournament, especially while registration is still open and you can re-enter the tournament, you get pocket kings with that chip stack. Someone 3-bets you, you just go right in with it just like he did. So unfortunately for Ship, KJ there waking up with the pocket aces. So we are now 5-handed in this $1,500 guaranteed tournament. Again, we have 2 tables of action, and this table will be balanced with the outer table. So we know there's at least 10 people remaining in the tournament. Blinds of 1,000, 2,000 folding on around to the small blind of KJ, who's going to complete with the 7-5 offsuit. And Vu waking up with Jack 8 offsuit in the big blind, going to check his option. So we're off to a flop of 2-3-6. Gut shot straight draw here for KJ. Not much for Vu. It's going to go check on the flop. 3 on the turn doesn't change anything at all. First aggressor will win this hand. It goes check to a river with an ace and a check. And Vu is going to take that pot down with the jack high, which again, pretty common for tournaments, especially in the lower of levels where you don't want to necessarily get involved. Later on, you'll see people firing to try to take down the pots when they matter a heck of a lot more. But for right now, the blinds are still low. The still plenty of time left in the tournament. No reason to get super involved at this point. And it looks like Mayer will be joining the tournament. Looks like he was folding up a registration receipt, so he may be entering in with a fresh chip stack. It looks like it here with 30,000. So we are back to 6-handed. Mayer getting into the big blind immediately. So first action is going to be on Zach with the Jack 7 of spades. Going to limp in for 2,000. Jim, Ace 8 offsuit. Looks like he put in the rest of his stack there. Yeah, he just looks like 22,000 for Jim. KJ waking up with pocket 7s. Just keep waking up with the premiums, having to get involved here. Does make the call with pocket 7s. Vu waking up with King Jack. We saw him gamble with less earlier. Decides to not to once somebody's already had a caller. Mayer not liking his hand, lets it go. Zach goes ahead and lets the King Jack 7 go. So we are Ace 8 against pocket 7s. This is for Jim's tournament life, a pot of just under 50,000 in chips. Jim looking for an ace or an 8 on this flop. Deuce, deuce, 4. Not cooperating with him. Still looking for an ace or an 8 to run down the pocket sevens. Ace on the turn. Now KJ is the one looking for the last 7. There's not a 7 anymore. 9 on the river. Jim going to get a much needed double up there, catching that ace on the turn. Said once he caught that one, KJ was down to the last 7 of the deck as we saw seat 4 folding one of his outs. And so Jim now back to about 49,000 in chips. A good, healthy 25 big blind stack. The blind's only at 1,000, 2,000. Plenty of chips there to play with. We are back to 6-handed, and the new player came to this table, so it's safe to assume we have at least 12 players left in the tournament. Now, Jim under the gun, waking up with ace-6 of hearts, goes ahead and makes that call for 2,000. KJ with the kings again. This gentleman is just catching premiums, and looks like he's going to raise this one up. There was a red chip in that stack, about 11,000 maybe. Let's see, 7,500. 7,500 bet. Vu thinks it's a good price for his queen jack offsuit, and now Mayor, new to the table, pocket 4s makes the call as well. And Zach's he's in the big blind, so he's gonna defend his big blind there. And Jim's gonna come along as well. So really good pot here. 5 ways, pocket kings in the lead. 5 players to a flop of 9, 4 jacks. So Mayor finding a set of 4s to take the lead ahead of the pocket kings on a very innocuous board. Checks his option. We'll see if KJ checks here. Actions on him. Does he want to play the king slow? You know, this could be quite a train wreck of a hand. Vu also sitting here with queen jack, top pair, queen kicker. Yep, KJ is going to ship it all in here. And he could get a call here with Vu acting right behind, who loves to gamble, has called with less, does have top pair with the queen kicker. Immediately asking for a count of KJ's stack. Meanwhile, Mayor's sitting right behind Vu with the bottom set, going to be calling automatically with his 20,000 chips. Vu with a big laydown, lets it go. Nice laydown there for Vu. And Mayor here going to go ahead and put in the rest of his stacks with the bottom set. Does so nonchalantly just in case he can get a call out of Zach or Jim to act behind him, but we know neither one of those players are going to do so. Jim sizing up the situation, waiting for his turn. Might not even really be sure that it is his turn. Probably already mentally checked out of this hand. Somebody let Mr. Jim know it's his turn. Yeah, he was looking at them. Didn't even know it was his turn. So he goes ahead and gets out of the way. Been there, Mr. Jim. Your hand is so no good that you've already folded in your mind before it even became your turn to fold. So KJ here drawing to a king or some running straight cards. 9 queen to keep him alive, or 10 or a queen to keep him alive, or a king to take the lead. Turn brings the 7, no help. So now we're down to the last kings, no go. So Mayor sits down and gets a quick double up in his second hand with the 4s. And KJ just on the roller coaster, picking up premium hands and getting the chips in the middle, going back and forth. Looked like David there, the floor man tonight at Poker House Fort Worth, might have had some racks in his hand to maybe steal away at one of our players. As we definitely keep the tables balanced. Actually, players getting, okay, so they have reached the break here for the $1,500 guaranteed re-entry tournament. There is an add-on for this tournament, and that's why you saw the players digging for some cash there to add on during this break. Let's see here what the with the add-on, it's a $50 add-on for 25,000 in chips. So that is a good prize pool booster there. But while I have you here on the break, I can tell you these players have earned some points into our $20,000 free roll qualifier coming up on August 3rd. It's the first of 3. You definitely don't want to miss out. All you're doing is trying to get in the top 15%. That's it, 15% to punch your ticket into that $20,000 free roll. There's only 3 opportunities to get into this tournament. The first one coming up on August 3rd. All these players are creating their own stack. So for the tournaments you enter in, if you enter a tournament, you get 1,000 chips. If you re-enter a tournament, you get 1,000 chips. Every add-on. And then we have high hands during the cash games. While you're playing in the cash games, you're earning 500 chips per hour played. There's lots of ways to build your own custom starting stack for the qualifier on August 3rd. Now, in saying that, just for being a member of Poker House Fort Worth, you get to play in that qualifier and start with a 5,000 chip stack just for being a member. And this is a normal tournament, starts out at 100, 200. And so that 5,000 stack is definitely playable. So even if you haven't made it in much in the month of July and haven't built up a lot of chips, you can still come fire in that qualifier and try to punch your ticket into that $20,000 free roll coming up in October. There's no other way to get in it, and it's going to be a fantastic tournament. So do not miss August 3rd at Poker House Fort Worth, the first of 3 qualifiers for the $20,000 free roll tournament that's going to be coming up in October. And you only have 2 more chances to get into it. Each one of these qualifiers, like I said, one at the beginning of the next 3 months, and your chip stack is based upon your participation in the room for the previous month. So this one was for July participation. But even if you haven't been able to make it out to the club very much, you still start with at least that 5,000 chip stack, and you have a few more days to build up some more chips to stack them in the August 3rd. August 3rd, first qualifier there. So we're going to take a quick break while we wait for the players to come back from their tournament break, and we're going to take you down to a winner, so stay tuned.
Four spaces missing. I'm kidding.
Right.
The fours, man, fours on this table have been sick. Whether it's that desk, but it's come 4-4 on the board like 8 or 9 times. $50K in chips for $25.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm in there with everything, you know, just trying to bully my way through. I'm just not that player anymore. You know, I've changed my game quite a bit since then. And it shows because I make a lot more final tables. You know? They don't understand. It's like, you know, he thinks I'm still that guy. I'm not that guy. I might be that guy against Boo. Because you gotta mix it up with him.
What's that, sir? 100 white when you get a chance. Go ahead. Paul,
Yeah. Can you hear me? You gonna be our new commentator? You gonna be our new commentator?
a few more minutes here on the player break. They're adding on to their chip stack. You can see on the screen here the $20,000 free roll championship in October. The first one of 3 qualifiers coming up on August 3rd. That is a week from tomorrow. You only have 3 opportunities to get into this tournament, so don't miss any opportunity to get into this tournament. It's only a $25 entry fee to try to get in the top 15% and punch your ticket into that $20,000 free roll tournament in October. So a week from tomorrow, August 3rd, for only $25. Everyone has chips. Just any active membership at Poker House Fort Worth gets you a stack of 5,000 in chips. And like we were talking about earlier, every tournament you play in, the cash games you play, there's many ways to add to your qualifier chip stack. But even if you haven't been able to make it into Poker House Fort Worth Munch in the month of July, you still have that $5,000 chip stack, and it's just going to be a normal tournament with blinds of 100, 200. So you're not going to be all in at the beginning. You're going to have enough chips to see some hands, try to spin it up, and get into that top 15%. And then starting on August 1st for the September 7th qualifier, all of your participation in Poker House of Fort Worth will be going towards that chip stack on September 7th. So, like I said, a week from tomorrow, August 3rd, the first of 3 qualifiers for only $25 gets you in to the tournament, and you're trying for the top 15%. The top 15%, tournament stops, tournament's over. All remaining players punch their ticket into that $20,000 free roll tournament on October 12th. Now, the best part about these qualifiers, there's only 3 of them, but if you can double bag, if you can qualify in that top 15% on August 3rd, a week from tomorrow, and then you come back and play again on September 7th and you qualify again, since you can't get more than 1 entry into this $20,000 free roll championship, you get to play free cash game access for the month of September. That's right, free cash game access for the entire month of September if you qualify on August 3rd and then qualify again on September 7th. You get to play the cash games at Poker House Fort Worth with no access fees at all. That's an incredible incentive to try to multi-qualify in these 3 qualifiers. And then if you do it again in October, all of October free. So 2 qualifyings get you the remainder of that month free cash play at Poker House Fort Worth. So if you qualify on August 3rd, come back on September 7th. And if you qualify again, play all of September for free, and then come back on October 5th. And if you qualify on October 5th, you get to play all of October for free. So big incentive to play in these qualifiers. And if nothing else, play for that top 15% to punch your ticket into that $20,000 free roll championship tournament on October 12th and 13th. It's going to be a fantastic event. And we are now back down. Trying to see how many players are left here, but we are back at the feature table here as the players have come back from break. Again, get some updated chip stacks here. But right out of the gate, KJ continues his run of big cards. Ace, queen, offsuit. Blinds are 2,000, 4,000, raising it up to 11,000 here. And so far, no takers around the table here. And so KJ is going to get this one through uncontested with a stack of 60,000 chips now. Now we are 6-handed here at the feature table, so that means there are at least 12 left in the tournament. Possibly 11. We play 6 and 5. So keep the table balanced just like any other normal tournament. Blinds are currently 2,000, 4,000. And I believe that's Carlos in the box. Coming back from the break, coming to the feature live stream to table. And I'll be able to look up shortly here what the prize pool ended up being. showing a prize pool after re-entries and add-ons of $19.20, so $1,920 into this prize pool. So a great turnout here on this Friday night. We're going to be heads up in the blinds, like a limp and a checked option, a flop of Jack 7-4, bone holding ace 4, flopping the bottom pair, ace 10 for KJ. The run of good cards just continues for him. Doesn't catch anything on this turn, but still waking up with ace 10. Pretty good to go here. And Bone's going to check the bottom pair here. KJ going to bet out 5,000 here. Now it's going to look suspicious kind of here to Bone. The flop was Jack 7-4. Both players check. A 5 on the turn brings some straight draws in, but not out of the realm of possibility that KJ could be doing this with any two cards, just trying to take this down if Bone isn't showing any interest in this pot. But he does have bottom pair. He does have a bluff catcher, which is exactly what KJ is doing, but decides not to look him up. So KJ going to take down that pot as well. Bone there probably just decided that he wasn't very heavily invested into that pot to begin with, so no use in trying to chase anything down when he was only 4,000 invested. So I think he was feeling the right answer, just didn't quite have the financial need to continue on. Mayer going to raise this hand up here with ace 6 offsuit under the gun. Vu in the big blind looking down at ace 5 offsuit, so it can get in for a discounted price of 7,000 more, but not easy to commit 7,000 extra chips with the ace 5 offsuit. But actually he does the opposite, puts the pressure back on Mayer, goes all in, and Mayer shows the ace and folds. It's a great play there by Vu, determining that Mayer's range can be pretty large there, and decides to put Mayer back to the test by shipping all those chips in there. And obviously Mayer can't continue, so fantastic play there by Vu. Be on the lookout for some more position plays like that out of him. We've got Bone in the current chip leader at the table with 90,000 in chips, followed behind with Vu at 76, Mayer at 67, KJ 62, Jim 61, and Zach 54. So none of these players really running away with anything here on this live stream feature table. Every player one good solid pot away from the chip lead at the table. Jim on the hijack looking down at King Jack suited of clubs. Looks like he's going to be raising this one up maybe 11,000. For some reason, 11,000 seems to be the key number to raise here for these players. Mayer going to come along for 7,000 more with the King 9 offsuit. So Jim in a dominating position here at the moment with the much better kicker to the Kings in both players' hands, and a flop of 8-6-6 does not help any player. Jim immediately ships in the last his 50,000. So these guys are not playing around. We are past registration. There are no more re-entries here. So these guys are playing one life to live and playing it very quickly. Blinds of 2,000 and 4,000. Jim could be under the gun here, looking down at ace 8 of spades. Reaching for some chips here. Looks like he's going to be making a raise. Might have been the same 11,000. Bone folding away. King Jack folding away. Vu looking down at ace 10 offsuit, was reaching for chips. Looks like he's making the call. Mayor, unfortunately, the small blind looking down at the 7 deuce. Zach with the ace 8 offsuit. So a lot of aces are out of play as each one of these players, ace 8 versus ace 8 versus ace 10, all heading to a flop of 3, 4, 5. 2 diamonds on the board. Vu holding the ace of diamonds, but not one to go with it. It's going to go check out of Zach, check out of Jim. And does Vu want to take the betting lead on this hand away from Jim, as Jim has checked this flop? All 3 players need a deuce for a wheel. But Vu's going to take the aggression line here after it's checked from the other 2 players of bet of 15,000 here. Zach sort of handcuffed with a player to act behind him. Does go ahead and fold his ace 8, and Jim taking one last look and shows the ace and folding his hand as well. So that's 2 pretty aggressive moves there from Vu, both well timed, to take the table chip lead of 98,000. Blinds of 2,000, 4,000. It's a lot tougher in this stage of the tournament whenever you're down to just before the final table. These blinds come along very quickly. So every 6 hands, these players are committing 6,000 chips to the middle, which is about an average of 10 big blinds stacks at this table. Bone and Vu in the 90s, Jim and KJ in the 60s, and Mayor and Zach around 50. Vu now waking up with the ace 8 of spades, decides to limp in for 4,000. See a flop. Mayor on the button looking down at king 6 offsuit, and he's going to be the one to jam this time. Quick fold there from Zach and Jim in the blinds, and so does Vu. Or no, actually, Jim has not folded yet. Really thought about that 10-9 suited, and I don't blame you, sir. Very pretty hand. Now, does Vu feel like Mayor is the one making a move on him, just like he made earlier? Does he think that his ace 8 of spades is best? Does he want to gamble? He is the chip leader at the table. Mayor's all in for still quite a bit, though, half a stack. Vu really wanted to, but he goes ahead and folds his hand, shaking his head. And, boy, I don't know if, Mayor showed him face down. So Mayor did not show his hand. Vu is the one that turned up the ace 8, letting Mayor know that he made a pretty decent fold against him, but not a bad hand 6-handed. So I hope some of you that tuned in earlier made it to Poker House Fort Worth and got in on this tournament before the end of registration. We're on a 15-minute delay stream as usual. But either way, if you didn't make it to Poker House Fort Worth, we hope you stay tuned in on the stream. And we're going to take this down to see who takes this tournament down. Bone under the gun puts the knight chess piece on his cards. Vu waking up with ace queen of hearts in the cutoff. He decided how much he wants to raise it up here. Yeah, Bone did make the call. I knew he did. He capped his cards there with that chess piece. Calls the 4,000. Vu's going to raise this up to 17,000 with the ace queen suited. It's going to fold back around to Bone, who's under the gun that initially limped in for the 4. 13,000 more for him to call with an 86,000 stack. Decides to go ahead and let that one go. And Vu continues to stack chips, going over the 1,000 chip mark here at this feature live stream table. And unfortunately, I'm not in the room at Poker House Fort Worth. I am casting this game from offsite here in West Texas at our Kojak's Poker Club. Otherwise, I could have somebody go out and sneak a peek and see what Vu's stack looks like against the rest of the field. But for now, we know that he's the chip leader of this feature table. We are 6-handed, so we have at least 5 in the outer table. We'll be playing it down to a final table of 9 between the two tables, and then we'll take a quick break as we get the names, or at least the names they want to be called on stream, and the chip stacks, and bring you the final table action. As we let the graphics catch up here, blinds are still 2,000, 4,000. Again, the prize pool of 1,920 here at Poker House Fourth on this Friday night $1,500 guaranteed tournament. It's always good to hit a guarantee. Mayer going to be the first one to look at his cards here, looking down at 9-4, decides to throw it away. Zach just hasn't had many cards there tonight. Not much to work with. Jim, ace-8 offsuit, decides to make the call of 4,000. Bone letting his 10-9 go. KJ with the 10-6 comes along. Vu completes and checks his option. Yeah, Vu's the big line, just checks his option. So we're going to go 3 ways to this flop. Ace-8 for Jim, 10-6 offsuit for KJ, and King-Deuce for Vu. So a lot of possibilities here. Queen-Jack-7 doesn't help anyone here. So the first person to maybe bet out here could take this one down, but they're going to check it down all the way around on the flop headed to the turn, which brings in the king, and that's going to give Vu a top pair. But he has a deuce kicker, so he decides to check it, and he goes a quick check around to a deuce on the river. So now Vu making 2 pair, definitely going to be betting this one out. And unless Jim wants to look up Vu with ace high, yeah, he's going to go ahead and fold. So Vu going to take this one down. So the big stack gets bigger here on this feature table. And he goes ahead and shows the king deuce. I love it, letting people know that they let him get there. Blinds are still 2,000, 4,000 as Carlos dealing cards here 6-handed on this featured live stream table. Still 1 table out left in the field. Zach's patience finally comes home, waking up with pocket kings. Looks like he just limped in there. He does just limp in for 4,000, so he's trying to entice a bet from someone else to try to get the limp raise in here. Bone, I'm not sure if Bone called or not. We'll see, get these figured out here. I know KJ called with the Jack 10. Vu with pocket queens. So Zach, optimal position here to get the full double up, courtesy of Vu. Zach does go ahead and put in the rest of his stack here all in, as Vu pretty much looks like Vu bet 29, which was effectively the rest of Zach's stack. And so we will see if KJ wants to come along, which I'm sure he does, not with the Jack 10. So we're going to be heads up, kings versus queen. Kings versus queens, cooler situation here. Vu, the chip leader, with the queens, looking to catch a queen to run down the pocket kings of Zach, who hasn't had much to work with here on stream, but luckily his patience does pay off as he finds himself in about as good a position as you can get in poker, pre-flop anyway. Pocket kings looking to stay alive against pocket queens as Carlos brings in the flop. And an ace, ace, jack on this flop. No help to the pocket queens. 9 on the turn. 2 outs left for Vu. And a deuce on the river does not help him. So Zach going to be very patiently rewarded for the full double up courtesy of Vu. And it's going to put him close to 100,000 in chips. So good timing, good pickup there for Zach. Vu shaking his head, but not much Vu could do there either. He still has a little over 70,000 in chips ahead of 3 other players here at this 6-handed feature table. But none of these guys are really super, super short. Jim is the short stack of the table, but he still has 47,000 in chips. So he himself is just one double up away from the chip lead as well. Or very, very, very close to it. So now let's see if Zach continues the patient selective play now that he has the big stack at the table. First act is Jim looking down at Jack 3 of hearts, letting that one go. Bone, Jack 10 suited, reaching for some chips. Looks like he just made the call there. KJ, King Deuce into the muck. Vu, 6-5, takes a quick break into the muck. Mayor going to make the call, completing the small blind. Is Zach going to check his option with the 4-3 off suit? So 3-5-6 on this flop. Great flop there for Zach, taking the lead with the bottom pair and open-ended straight draw. Jack 10 and 10-9 of Mayor. Not much working on this flop. Let's see if Zach takes any kind of betting lead. He does not. He goes ahead and checks it. And it's going to Bone's going to check as well to a turn. And an ace of clubs on the river does bring home the front door club draw. Let's see if Zach wants to put out a bet just yet. He does bet the minimum 4,000 here. Going to find out if anybody has a clubs or an ace really quickly. Bone, of course, folds his hand. And Mayor here may be looking to make a play. He does. And what a great play it is, sensing some weakness out of Zach. Now let's see if Zach feels like he could be just being pushed around. And he makes the call. So definitely some next level poker being played here. So Zach led out on this turn. Mayor raised him with a pure bluff. A board pairing 6 on the river. And Mayor's going to ship it all in. These guys are playing poker. And Zach basically with a bluff catcher, and that is it. Really posturing and does lay it down. So great poker there by Mayor. Sensing weakness and Zach's bet there on the turn. And tough call out too with that turn brought not only an ace, but the clubs as well. So definitely a gamble there by Mayor. But a good card to represent. And I think if Zach would have bet a little bit more on that turn rather than just a min bet of 4, he definitely probably would have not enticed Mayor to take that line. So good bet by Zach. Just would have liked to have seen a little bit of a larger caliber bullet there on that turn. KJ waking up with a queen jack, going to raise this one up. Looked like 13,000. Mayor letting his 10-8 go. Folds around to Jim, not having anything either. Well, I'm going to let this one go. So this Ray is going to get through and pick up some blinds there for KJ. It looks like the blinds have gone up. 3,000, 6,000. So the blinds are starting to get on up there. These the chip stacks have definitely been making some moves, but they're all fairly close. Mayor with the chip lead at the feature table of 86,000, but 3 other players in the 70s. KJ creeping on 60,000 and Jim creeping on 50,000. So still anything can happen between all of these players here. Looks like KJ reaching for some chips with his Jack 10 offsuit. Taking a moment here for the graphics to play catch up.
Exactly. Of course, there's another part there.
It's like we had a raise there out of Jim, and it's going to get its way through, picking up the big blind there. Sorry about the little stutter there in the stream as the graphics play some catch up. Ridge Runner asks, is there a free roll tomorrow night? Not only is there a free roll tomorrow night, but tomorrow at noon. We have the $500 guaranteed free roll every day at noon here at Poker House Fort Worth. And the Saturday tournament, look at that up here for you. It's the 1.5K free roll at 6. It's about 6:30ish is when they get started on that. So it is a $1,500 guaranteed free roll. Vu looking to pick up his aggression here with King 6 of spades, raise it to 15,000, and Bone picking the ace 10 to ship in the rest of his stack. And it's not an insignificant stack, so this is going to be a tough call here for Vu. So good move there by Bone, picking up 15,000 chips there. We have quite a few people watching and or listening on YouTube and Facebook. Again, this is the $100, $1,500 guaranteed, $100 re-entry tournament. We have a prize pool right now of just over $1,900. 6 people here at this feature table. And as soon as we get down to 9 players, we'll be going to the final table right here on stream in that tough part of the tournament to where both the last 2 tables are shorthanded, so those blinds come around really quickly. Pocket 5s for Mayor here under the gun. Let's see how he decides to play this one. He definitely reached for raising chips there. Looks like 15,000 is going to be the number chosen. Going to fold all the way around. KJ in the small blind with Jack 4 offsuit decides to let it go and see if Vu wakes up with anything to defend with. He does. Ace 3 offsuit. So we're going to go heads up to a flop between Mayor and Vu. Pocket 5s versus Ace 3. Queen 10 8. 2 diamonds on this board. Vu going to let Mayor decide what he wants to do. Check on the flop. King on the turn. Let's see if Vu wants to take the betting lead. And not just that, he puts in the rest of his stack, 41,000. And looks like Mayor did make the lay down there. So not just any aggression, but maximum aggression to get Mayor to lay down the pocket 5s. Obviously, with that kind of board staring at you, you can't make the call with pocket 5s. Not for your tournament life. So we remain 6-handed. Chip stacks are all fairly good. Every player, like I said, the blinds are 3 and 6, so there's not many blinds compared to stacks, but you have to look at the stacks as a whole. Bone with the current chip lead of 97,000, but you have 3 out of the 6 players all in the 70,000s. Jim right about 50 and KJ right about 50. So each one of these players are very close to a one good pot away from being the table chip leader.
And I still have like
Looks like we have Jenny joining us in the box. Again, the blinds are 3 and 6,000. Zach going to be the first to act. Let's go his Jack Deuce suited. Jim looking at it, Jack 10 offsuit. Pausing for a minute here, maybe tempted, but goes ahead and lets it go. Bone and KJ both folding over to the small blind of Vu, who has an actual hand here. Ace Queen offsuit, goes and ships it all in. Pretty aggressive move in the small blind versus the big blind. And Mayer is going to wake up with just enough to make the call. So huge hand here. Vu shipping it in the small blind. Mayer knows that he can be doing that with a lot of holdings, but Mayer going to be upset to see that Vu was definitely at the top of his range on what looked like could have been just a big blind steal. As Mayer wakes up with ace 10 and makes the call. So as Jenny counts down the chips here to we know that Vu should have had some more chips here than Mayer. But because it is a tournament, because players do move around and get pulled from table to table, the chip stacks could be a little bit off, but we're pretty sure that Mayer is the one here at risk. 2, 3, 4 on this flop. Let's let the graphics catch up here. And they're going to be chopping it up. 2, 3, 4, 5 on this board. So Mayer getting lucky there, catching the wheel with the ace along with Vu, making the queen kicker over his 10 obsolete. So the players will take back their chip stacks, and both players showing each other that they're not afraid to put stacks in the middle. Blinds are still 3,000, 6,000 here. I don't think so, Ridge, but you never know. Even mayors play poker. So wait for the graphics to catch up here. Vu looking down at pocket sevens in the cutoff, goes ahead and puts his whole stack into the middle. Jenny counting them down. Looks like Mayer is asking for a count. We'll get to see what he woke up with here shortly. Mayer does go ahead and make the fold. Nothing for Jim or Bone to come along with, so Vu's going to pick up some much-needed blinds there with the pocket sevens. And Ridge, we are working on live streaming quite a bit more, getting a few things worked on. And so while tomorrow's won't be streamed very near future, very well it could be. So it looks like we did have a player moved from the feature table here.
Kevin Jones 2 and Vu in the 9 seed.
Well, it looks like we might be going to the final table. Okay, fantastic. So we are down to 9 players here at this $1,500 guaranteed $100 re-entry tournament with a prize pool of $1,920. We are down to the final 9, and we will get an updated name and chip count on these final 9 players. So thank you for tuning into Poker House Fort Worth for the stream of this tournament on this Friday night. We've got a DC game going on our table and one other cash game. I believe it's a 1-2, just regular Texas Hold'em table. So plenty of action here at Poker House Fort Worth on this Friday night if you're watching or listening nearby here in Burleson, just south of Fort Worth. Plenty of action to come play. I'm sure some of these tournament players will migrate over from the tournament to the cash tables. Been talking to a little bit of the staff over at text. The DC game seems to be quite wild. So if the DC games are your choice, I believe they're playing everything from Hold'em to PLO to Congress to Texoma, Dramaha. Quite the game going on tonight here at Poker House of Fort Worth. And so that one will probably run pretty deep into the night, along with just regular Hold'em if that is your choice. It's definitely my choice. The stream is on a 15-minute delay, so some of you may have had one of your friends here at the table let you know that they made it to the final table. But let us know that's who you're rooting on. Appreciate you tuning in regardless. You see dealer Jenny here getting the accurate chip stacks. DJ on Facebook, thanks for the watch, good sir. I hope you don't mind the mild bit of roasting I did on you on Wednesday. But even your better half was calling you out on stream, saying he shaved the beard and now he's a different poker player. Now, there was lots of action on a Wednesday night. Talking about DJ's game every Wednesday here on the Facebook and YouTube pages here, Poker House Fort Worth. DJ's game is a $300 max buy-in 1-2 game with lots of action. And there definitely was lots of action on Wednesday. It was good to see Mac back on stream on Wednesday as well. He had a heck of a night. Caught some monster hands, made some good plays. Like I said, DJ pretty handcuffed, unfortunately. So I had to roast him a little bit. Usually one of those guys that any kind of big pot going on, he's in it. With a napkin and an Applebee's card, like I like to say. Any 2 cards good enough for DJ, but the action was flying on Wednesday, so had to take the more conservative route and just wasn't catching any cards to help with the process, unfortunately. But I don't think you took any kind of a hit. I think you pretty much cashed out what you brought in. So we'll see if this is updated and accurate here. David's going to be the chip leader here, new to the stream table, chip leader of the tournament with 163,000 in chips. Javier, 135,000 in chips. Vu, 91,000. Bone, 89. Sama with 83. Mayor at 71. Zach at 59. KJ with 58. And Jim with 56. So a couple chip holders here at this final table with a little bit of a grip on larger stacks, but all players still one good pot away from being at the top of the list. So still anyone's game here in this $1,500 guaranteed $100 re-entry tournament. Prize pool of 1,900 and some change. Sama looking down at Queen King. Decides to call the 6,000. KJ can come along as well with 7-6 suited. Javier, ace 7 of diamonds, calling as well. So lots of just calling going on here in this first hand as these players sort of feel out the rest of the table. But we're coming up on Mayor and Vu. Mayor completes the small with 10-8. Vu, Queen King, great squeezing spot here. And that is exactly what he does, putting the rest of his stack 91,000 chips all in. So Vu waking up with the perfect hand here in the big blind to punish the limpers. See if anyone here can find a call. Sama cannot, and I don't think there's much left in the field unless Javier thinks that he could be best with the ace 7 of diamonds. No, he's going to throw that away, and Mayer's not going to call with the 10-8. So great squeeze there by Vu, and does hide the cards away, doesn't turn them over, lets them think that it was just a pure bluff squeeze. We know that it wasn't completely bad, but Queen King was good enough there to punish the limpers. We've got Ridge saying born card dead. I guess that is a shared sentiment by myself there, Ridge. Taco saying picking Mayor to win this. It's a good pick. Made some good moves so far tonight. DAC saying David's got this. Easy game. David, the player in the 5 seat, the current chip leader. Blinds are still 3,000, 6,000. Action has folded over to David with 9-7 offsuit. Decides to let his hand go. Jim looking down at 6-3 into the muck as well. Zach 7-4, no good. Mayor on the button. Looks down at ace, jack. It's a good hand to have on the button. Could be looking at just stealing the blinds here, but he's definitely at the top of his range. Vu not waking up with anything to challenge him with. Sama, king deuce, lets it go. Mayor throws his cards into the muck as he picks up the small and big blind. An extra 9,000 in chips added to his stack there. It's always good to pick up a monster hand on the button when it's folded all the way around to the blinds in a tournament. You make a move. It looks like you're just making a move on the blinds when you actually have the goods. That time he had ace jack offsuit and definitely had enough to raise that up and make a stand there. Players now into the next hand, folding around to David. Lets the queen tray go. Jim looking down at nothing. Lots of rags being dealt out these last couple of hands. Mayor with the 10-7 decides to let his go. And now Vu is the one on the button. Can he wake up with something to steal the blinds with? Ace, deuce, offsuit. Looks like he's going to put in effective chips enough to put the blinds all in. And we'll see if Sama in the 1 seat wakes up with anything. Does not. And does KJ having to defend his with queen 9 of diamonds. Pretty hand, but has to let it go. And Vu's going to pick up the blinds on the button there. So these players definitely making some moves here to pick up some blinds. Of course, no one really waking up with hands yet at the moment. So we'll get a good temperature on this final table to see who's trying to make it into the money. Anyone else in the chats on Facebook and YouTube? Quite a few people watching and listening. We've got some players picking David. We got Mayor. We definitely have some favorites at the table from some of these stream watchers. Let me know. Let me know who you are rooting on here on this Friday night $1,500 guaranteed tournament. Folds all the way around to Vu again in the hijack. Oh no, Mayor in the hijack, who looks down at 7-5 of hearts, going to raise this up 2x to 12,000. Vu looking down at ace-9 offsuit, and he's going to squeeze it back. Sema waking up with king-queen of hearts, good enough for her to put the rest of her stack in as well. So here we have some action. I don't think Mayor's going to be able to continue on here with the kind of a bluffed move there in the hijack with the 7-5 of hearts. So Sema going to be the one at risk. As Jenny pulls the chips into the middle, getting the stacks put together. King, queen of hearts versus ace-9. And we see a flop of ace, deuce, tray. So Vu is going to take this one down, eliminating Sema in 9th place. Well played. Was making a move to pick up some blinds there, and Sema picked up just enough to put in the rest of her stack on the button there. And I don't blame her at all. Mayor and Vu have both been hyper aggressive for the last couple of hands. They could be just picking on the blinds a little bit. And King, Queen of Hearts, very pretty hand. Brennan's rooting on Zach. Darren predicting a Vu finish of 4th. Well, we are down to 8 players. Blinds are still 3,000, 6,000. Vu now pretty significant chip leader with the 210,000 in chips, overtaking David's chip lead. Still lots of nothing around the table. Folds around to Mayor with the ace deuce of diamonds, and he's going to say that's good enough for the rest of his stack. 62,000 into the middle. Vu not immediately folding, thinking a little bit about this one, but does go ahead and fold. We can see if the blinds wake up with anything to put their stack in the middle with. Does not look like it, as Mayor is pushing his cards forward. Yeah, nothing else coming along there. So Mayor going to pick up some blinds there, much needed blinds, as the blinds are going up pretty soon. Question in the chat, what are the payouts tonight? First place is going to be paying $1,345, and second place of $575. So $1,345 and $575, first and second place. Zach going to make the call as the blinds have gone up to 4,000, 8,000 with ace-3 offsuit, and Mayor immediately waking up with pocket jacks and ships it immediately in with 171,000. Going to be an effective all-in for most of these players here. And Bone seeing lots of action out of Mayor, not seeing many cards. Looks down at ace-10 and is giving this some serious thought. Let's see if he wants to think that Mayor could be just being a little bit splashy here. Bone really thinking about this one. And he does make the call. So Bone is going to be the one at risk here in this hand. Ace-10 versus the all-in of Mayor with pocket jacks. Zach, who was the first initial raiser here to 8,000, a min click, but definitely cannot continue here, not after an all-in and a call. So Bone going to be the one at risk here with the ace-10 offsuit and against the pocket jacks of Mayor. This is going to put Mayor way up into the chip lead if the jacks do hold. 3, 5, 7, 4 on the turn, no help. 8 on the river, and Mayor is going to have a monster chip lead here. So let's let the graphics catch up and make sure that I am correct. Yeah, if Bone is holding the ace-10 here, but Jenny's counting on some chips here, so we may have had Bone may have not been holding ace-10. We get some visual confirmation here. Nope, she's definitely dragging over the chips. Yeah, just verifying chip stacks here. Mayor should have had him out chipped. Yep, and so Mayor did not. Yeah, he did. He did have Bone did have him out chipped. So it looks like Bone is still going to be slightly alive here. 9,000 chips remaining. Like I said, we do our best to keep accurate chip counts here, but in tournaments, whenever people are moved around, we need to get recounts, things like that. But they're usually pretty close as they were. So Bone barely still alive here with what looks like 9,000 in chips. And so David's count was the one that was going to be off there. So Vu's still the chip leader, but Mayor did get a very, very big, healthy double up there. And should have been a correction to his stack there. We'll wait and see what the control board says. This hand, though, is going to fold around to the small blind David with king-7 offsuit. He's going to complete to 8,000, and Jim there looks like he's going to immediately ship it all in and snap fold there from David. Or is it vice versa? Did David raise it up here? Yeah, David did go all in, and Jim made the call with the ace-4. So Jack 6 ace, that's going to do it for Mr. David. Hitting the king on the river, not good enough. And so David's still going to be alive in this hand, but a full double up there from Jim. Blinds are 4,000, 8,000. So pretty hefty blinds for a lot of these chip stacks. Vu still in the lead. Mayor folds, Vu folds around to KJ, who has woken up with queen 10 of diamonds and ships in his stack just in time for Javier, waking up with pocket aces. So tough timing here for KJ as Javier does make that call. He doesn't re-raise, he just makes that call. But nothing left else in the field there to make the call with as well. So KJ going to be the one at risk here with queen 10 of diamonds, looking to run down at pocket aces. And what a flop. Ace, jack, deuce, all diamonds. Queen looking for a board pair for the boat. Does not happen. So queen 10 of diamonds has run down pocket aces, even after aces flopping an ace. Ace, jack, deuce of diamonds. Tough, tough flop and no board pairing help. So double up there from KJ, running down the pocket aces. Tough beat there for Javier. And without wasting any time, because the clock is ticking, Jenny getting on to the next hand. Players racing the clock in a tournament played just like usual. These blinds don't get any smaller. Players needing to make moves. And Bone has found his spot with his last 9,000 going all in with pocket kings. David in the 5 seat with just under 100,000 in chips. Not much for him to make this call comparatively, so he's going to shove back over the top here of 100,000 with these pocket 10s. Going to make tough for anyone else from behind him to come along as well. Somebody there asking for a count. It does help us update their chip counts as well. And so David can be, with his pocket 10s, going to be well behind the pocket kings of Bone, but unfortunately Bone didn't have many chips to start the hand with, only 9,000. So it's not going to cost him much to try to run these down. 6-8 jack. There's a 10 on the turn, taking down the pocket kings of Bone. Tough, tough beat there for Bone. So that is aces and kings falling just immediately, one after the other. So tough beats are being dealt out. So now there were 7. Vu is still your chip leader with 210,000. David at 120. Jim 108. KJ 98. Javier 76. Mayor 68. And Zach with 39. Blinds are 4,000, 8,000. So half of this table is in the 10 big blind range, needing to look for hands to go all in with. KJ under the gun, looking down at pocket 8s. 100,000 in his chip stack, decides to raise it up here. 23,000 to go, folds around. No help anywhere. Zach on the button. It's his turn to have the pocket kings. Puts in the rest of his stack, 39,000 total on the button. Vu and Mayor getting out of the way. So KJ definitely going to make this call here as Jenny gets the chips together to see how much more KJ has to call. Not a matter of if, it's just how much. So pocket 8s of KJ going up against the pocket kings of Zach. Zach is the one at risk, all in, looking to hope that his kings can fade an 8. And much more than that, he's a king on the flop, ace on the turn. Drawing dead are the 8s. So Zach getting the full double up with the pocket kings. So like I said, these players are one double up away from getting towards the top of the list. DAC in the chat, I don't know that reference. 4,000, 8,000 are the blinds. 3 out of the 7 players over 100,000 in chips. Vu over 200,000 in chips. KJ, Mayor, and Javier looking to make a move, all having less than 10 bigs in the stack, hoping to wake up with something to get the chips into the middle and get a double up. Mayer here on the button, pausing with the 4-3 offsuit, looking to make a move. He's done that really well tonight. See if it continues on for him. Vu just to his left. These guys have been battling it out on stream for the last hour or so. Vu decides to let him get away with this one. And KJ waking up with pocket aces. The big hands are cheap. And it's not that much more to Mayer, but he cannot call. Not with 4-3. Enough to where he had to get out of the way of that one. It was about twice what he put in there, a little bit more. I believe he raised up to 20, and KJ went all in for just under 50. So Mayer there going for the bluff, which is perfectly great in tournament poker. But unfortunately, the big blind woke up with pocket aces, and there's not much you can do about that other than just fold and get those chips back in the next hand. Action is going to be on David in seat 5, 8,000 to play now in this game.
All right, it's time to race shot. I'm playing. Let it race.
Dealer Paul in the box. Blinds are still 4,000, 8,000. Seven players left. 2 players taking home cash in this top-heavy payout. Over $1,300 to first place, almost $600 for second. Prize pool a little over 19,000. Or I'm sorry, 1,900 and change for this $1,500 guarantee, $100 re-entry tournament. The chip stacks are definitely moving around the table. Zach looking down at ace-10 offsuit. Looks like he limps in. Mayer looking down at 7-4 of diamonds into the muck. Vu, who has kind of geared it a little slower after picking up those chips, as he should in tournament play. KJ looking to play the button. Queen-6 of hearts. Javier completing the small blind with 9-6 of diamonds, and now David's option with Jack-5 suited checks his option. So we're going to go 4 ways to a flop. A Jack-King-King flop. So David, although it has the lead in the hand, it's still very scary if anyone has a king in their hand. Check to David. See if he wants to make a small stab at this pot here. Does not. It's going to check around to a turn, which brings a queen of clubs. And that's going to bring home the Broadway straight for Zach. Let's see if he makes his bet out here. He does bet 8,000 and no takers. No. Did have the Queen-6 of KJ. He did make the call here, so Zach here checks it, and KJ is just going to check it as well. So Zach there choosing to go to showdown, just in case the boat was made there by KJ. I don't hate it. If you make the bet there, there's not many hands that can call you. Maybe somebody with a king in their hand might look you up. But Jack, King, King, Queen at these blind levels, definitely in the range of lots of people's holdings, and didn't want to play right into someone's boat. Javier looking down at pocket tens on the button, going to raise it all in. No takers in the blinds. Picks up some valuable blinds there. 12,000. 12,000 in blinds. The blinds are 8,000, 4,000, 8,000. So 12,000 each time that button passes by. And in late stage tournament poker, you're just trying to pick up some blinds to survive. Only 2 out of these 7 going to be on the ladder, unless any deals are made. One more card there, Paul. There you go. Got to give the button 2 cards. Mayer under the gun, looking down at 10-8 offsuit. Vu 7-5. Lets it go. Nothing for KJ. Javier looking down at pocket 6s in the cutoff. Decides that's good enough to go all in. David on the button, looking down at ace-7 offsuit. Could be hard to call for over half his stack with ace-7 offsuit. Throws it into the muck. We'll see if Jim wakes up with anything. Queen-9 of diamonds. Not going to be able to make the call. And does Zach have anything? King-4 of diamonds. Acting like he wants to here, but maybe that's just his favorite hand. Can't call off half your stack with King-4 of diamonds unless the card's yours wrong, because he does make the call. So Javier may have been shorter stacked than the graphic shows. We'll find out here shortly from dealer Paul. It's possible that Zach did not have quite that many chips. 25, 35, 45, 55. No, it's pretty well up there. The chips are close. Zach's hand could have been read incorrectly. No, he just may like King-4 of diamonds. Yeah, it was Zach that put in the rest of his chips for 71,000 or 51,000. It looks like there maybe. Either way, we are headed to a flop of King-5 ace. So stranglehold by Zach on this hand. Javier looking for a 6 and only a 6 here on this river. Deuce does not make it happen. So Zach, we'll get a look at some of the chips here. Zach did have chips behind, so he did have Javier out chipped. And Javier going to be sent to the rail. Well played, sir, in 7th place. Got his chips in when they were best, but could not finish it out by the river. So 6 players left. Stacks are moving around, starting to see some shorter stacks in the field, especially when the blinds are 4,000, 8,000 and going up any time soon. KJ looking down in the hijack at ace-4 of spades. David, who came to the table as a chip leader, has just not had any cards to cooperate, but he is still alive. Jim, kind of the same, not much to fight with either. Zach looking down at 8-9 suited. Not quite the chip leader, but healthy stacked. Pretty close behind Vu. Wants to see a flop. Calls the 8,000, completing the big blind, and Mayer checking his option with 6-5 offsuit. So we're going to go to a flop heads up of King Tray 10. To the aggressor will go the spoils on this one, and Mayer is going to be the one to do just that as Zach checks to him, and Mayer makes the bet of 20,000, picking up that 8,000 called bet there by Zach, who has the chips to spare right now. Him and Vu both around that little over 200,000 mark, and a wide gap down to third around 100,000 for Jim and David, and then KJ and Mayer bringing up the last 2 spots with around 60,000 and Mayer less than 40. with the blinds of now 5,000, 10,000. So this will not last much longer. These guys are going to have to find a spot and put it in. And speaking of just that, KJ does put in his last 63,000 under the gun with ace 10 off suit. David still waking up with nothing, has to let his 5-3 go. Jim 7 deuce, even worse than nothing, lets it go. Zach on the button, can't find anything. Mayor waking up with pocket queens. Looks like he shoved here. And now Vu looking down at ace 7, can't do anything about it here. Goes ahead and lets that one go. Or he's about to let it go. Boy, he's just grinning like he wants to call. But don't think he can call. It would be kind of ICM suicide here. But he is wanting to count from Mayor. Interestingly enough, he may just think that Mayor is trying to isolate here, and Vu could have ace high best here. Handling his cards like he's going to fold, though. Shaking his head. Yeah, he does go ahead and make the fold as he should there. So ace 10 for KJ at risk against the pocket queens of Mayor. Vu wanting everybody to know that he folded an ace for some reason. So 2A flop. Ace 10 looking to run down pocket queens. King 5 on this flop. No help to KJ looking for an ace on the turn. Doesn't get there. Now an ace and only an ace does not happen. So Mayor going to go ahead and take this one down, eliminating KJ with ace 10. Not being able to beat the pocket queens of Mayor. Well played by KJ. We saw him throughout the duration of the stream being on the featured table. Definitely had a heater run of cards early and just couldn't quite keep it going to the end. And so now we were down to 5 players. Mayor and Zach and Vu, all the majority of the chip holders here. David and Jim with about half as many chips as those 3, needing to look to make a move soon. But Jim and David just have not had any cards, period. They've just been basically content having to sit back and watch the rest of the chips fly and people get eliminated, which is sometimes good in a tournament. Patience is a virtue in poker. We'll see if it pays off for either one of those players. Zach here in the cutoff going to call the 10,000 with king 7 of clubs. Vu's going to go ahead and ship it in the small blind. David waking up with 9-8 of spades. Can't do anything about it. And so Zach, who called in the cutoff with king 7, is probably going to have to lay this one down. Zach there giving a speech. We saw him call with king 4 earlier, but he doesn't decide to call with the king 7 this time. So lets that one go, and Vu picks up some blinds plus a little bit there. Five players left here. Zach under the gun looking down at ace 8. The blinds are 5,000, 10,000, so expect this to move along with a quickness. Players needing to pick a spot. Zach putting in the call, 10,000 under the gun here. Mayor with 7-6. Looks like he's raising it up to 30,000. Letting the graphics catch up here. David looking down at king 9 of clubs, lets it go. And Jim folding his 6-4, and Zach makes the call here. So we're going to go heads up to a flop. Ace 8 versus 7-6, both people holding diamonds. on a 7-9-10 flop. Open-ended for Zach. Mayer flopping a gut shot with bottom pair. Looks like a bet of 10,000 and a quick call by Mayer. 8 on the turn brings home the straight for Mayer. And Mayer's going to tease it along with a bet of 10,000 again. And Zach's going to come along now making the pair of 8s. So a deuce on the river doesn't change anything. Mayer's going to bet another 10,000 and just bled an extra 30, 40,000 there out of Zach just by making the minimum bet, and turned a medium pot into a pretty sizable pot just by making some minimum bets here to string Zach along, who picked up, flopped open-ended and picked up a pair on the turn and just could never find the fold button. And can't necessarily say I blame him. It was only 10,000 betting out of Mayer, but lost an extra 30,000 in that hand, and just never improved. So Mayer going to be your chip leader. And I think we had a couple people in the chat saying that he was the one going to take it down. So any Mayer fans in the chat should be excited about things so far. But with these blinds of 5 and 10,000, it is still anyone's game here. Lots and lots of money that's going to be coming around every 5 hands, only being 5-handed. Mayer under the gun, looking down at pocket 9s. Going to just go ahead and go all in here. See if anybody wants to play 4 stacks against the chip leader here. And it's David. Did David make the call here? Looks like he did with ace queen. So we're going to have a race between David and Mayer. David, the one at risk. Ace queen offsuit. And as dealer Paul here gets the stacks straight for the computer, gets an accurate chip count there for David, who is all in for 93,000. So $200,000 pot, not an insignificant pot here. David looking to catch an ace or a queen to stay alive. Mayer looking to dodge everything else. And right in the window, ace for David. 2 aces on this flop. So Mayer looking for a 9 and only a 9. 5 on the turn doesn't help. And on the river, no help either. So David, patience pays off. Double up to 200,000 in chips, putting him right up into the mix with Mayer and Vu. And that was the best hand I think I've seen him have since the final table. He has just been handcuffed by the cards, and with the blinds moving around, lots of action, has just been handcuffed since we came to a final table. And it pays off now as he comes up towards the top with Vu and Mayer. Zach, like I said, David, Mayer, and Vu all around the 200,000 mark. Zach a little over 100, and Jim just under 100. So Zach and Jim are just one double up away as well from getting it back up there. So the stacks are swinging. The blinds are high enough, and the action is late enough. It's still anyone's game. It truly, truly is. Jim on the button, picking up ace 4 offsuit. Decides it's a good time to put in the rest of his stack. Quick fold from Zach. And we'll see if Mayer wakes up with anything. Does not. Well, Mayer had ace deuce, but goes ahead and lays it down. Jim has been nice and quiet, so he is not going to be shoving there lightly. Definitely going to be behind with the ace deuce. And makes a good fold after giving some chips over to David. Decides to gear it down a little bit.
Or no, actually, you were under the gun +1. He lived under the gun. And then you punished the limper.
David with the king 10 under the gun with these newfound chips, just over 200,000. See what he wants to do with king 10 shorthanded. Looking at the blinds here, going to be raising this one up. Looks like he made it 25. Yeah, raised to 25,000. Nothing for Jim or Zach or Mayor or Vu. So David picking up an extra 15,000 there in blinds just as he gets into the big blind. So well-timed bet by him there to survive another orbit.
I'm just glad we're at the stage of the tournament where you'll
And we're only paying 2 places. Only paying 2 places in this tournament. Very top-heavy tournament.
'cause 2 hours ago, that's an auto.
And no deals have been made yet 5-handed. These guys are playing down to it. May see some deals at some point, but not 5-handed. Mayor on the button, folded around to him with 4 deuce offsuit, decides to let it go. See if Vu wants to make a move on the big blind of David with the 9-4 offsuit. He's just going to make the call here. So going to take a flop with David, but David wakes up with ace jack. And David immediately raises up and Vu lets it go. So Vu trying to see a cheap flop there with some cheap cards, and David isn't having it now that he is starting to pick up some cards to move with. So 2 hands, picks up both small and big, and then an additional small blind. So he has turned a profit through this orbit in the blinds, which is hard to do when the blinds are 5,000, 10,000. Zach under the gun folding his 10-3 suited. Mayor looks like he pitched his cards in. No, he's looking at him right now. King 3 offsuit, goes ahead and lays him down. Vu not waking up with anything on the button. David with 7-6 offsuit in the small completes the call, and now it's up to Jim, who's going to check his option with a 9 deuce. Queen 6 deuce on this flop. Jim taking the betting lead here with the bottom pair. Goes ahead and shoves his stack in the middle. And don't know if was there a 6 on this flop. If there, he's thinking about it. So there's got to be a 6 on this flop here. It looks like there is after the graphic correction here. So David does have a pair, which is hard to make 5-handed. Jim here putting the rest of his stack with bottom pair deuces. David definitely smelling something fishy here, saying that he has a pair, but he does go ahead and lay it down. So Jim using his image to take that one down there. Some people with that chip stack may make that call, may not. So a well-needed pot there for Jim. And these last 5 players doing some chip shuffling around. Dealer Paul dealing out 5 ways with the blinds of 5,000, 10,000 in this $1,500 guaranteed tournament that had a prize pool of 1,900 and change, over 13,000 to first, and almost 600 to second. Looks like Vu under the gun here is going to make a bet as the graphics try to play catch up here. Vu did put out a bet here and then under the gun, and then looks like he bet 25,000 and let the graphics play catch up here on this one. Zach is the one that went all in, and Vu had Queen 9 of spades, raised it up 25, raised it to 30,000. Zach goes all in over the top. Vu's going to make this call. Zach with ace king off suit. Vu with Queen 9 of spades. Paul's going to make sure these stacks are accurate. So Zach's ace king ahead of Vu's queen 9. Zach the one at risk here. And a flop of queen 9-5. Flop 2 pair for Vu. 10 on the turn does give Zach some life, looking for a jack and only a jack to stay alive, and does not get it. So Vu's queen 9, it takes down the ace king of Zach. And we'll see. It looks like that was that was going to be all in for Zach. So well played by Zach. Saw him a lot today on stream. Lots of good play. And just could not catch a break here at the end, even though he had the ace king, good shove. Vu needing to make a call at some point with these blinds the way they are, makes a stand with the queen 9 and ends up out flopping the ace king of Zach. So we are now down to 4 players. David under the gun, waking up with pocket 8s. See what kind of move he wants to make here with this hand.
Nine. That thing would have been way up there. Well then.
That's why, yeah.
Dig off on my phone. Who's not gonna hold back now?
Looks like he's going to put in his stack and play for stacks here with the pocket 8s. And it is going to be enough to take it down. Jim under the gun here, looking at 10-3 offsuit. David here going to raise this one up with king 9 and take this one down as these graphics kind of catch up here. Action moving very quickly when it's only 4-handed. Some of these players act a little bit quickly without the card reader being able to catch up to their holdings. Jim here looking at a queen 10 offsuit. Going to ship this stack in. Try to pick up some of the blinds here before. Should be going up shortly. Right now they're 5,000, 10,000. So already pretty painful. Mayer letting his 7-6 go. Vu in the small blind. About a third of his chip stacks. A third of his chip stack to call with king 7 does not do it. David looks down at a pocket pair. Does he want to gamble? Pocket 6s. He does make the call. So Jim going to be here at risk with the queen 10 offsuit to David's pocket pair of 6s. David looking to fade a queen or a 10. So will the 6s hold? A flop of 8-4-4. Jim still looking for a queen or a 10. 9 on the turn, no help, but it does bring a gut shot with a jack, but does not get there. So David is going to make this three-handed, taking down Jim with the pocket sixes. Well played by Jim, very patiently played to get all the way down to fourth place. Just did not get much cooperation from the cards late here on the stream. And Dealer Paul there, crossing the cards, the players might have called a quick timeout to discuss a chop. See if these three players... Nope, Carlos was just coming in to deal, so nothing quite yet. Blinds are still 5,000, 10,000. Yeah, they definitely are discussing something here. They might have a quick timeout while they're discussing the money. Yeah, Javier, tough one there, buddy. Yeah, it looks like they are discussing some kind of chop deal here, and I do not blame them. Over 1,900 in the prize pool. Pretty good payday, split three ways, no matter how you do it. The chip stacks, we got shakings of hands. So these gentlemen, David, Vu, and Mayer, have come to a deal on this $100 re-entry tournament. Over 1,900 in the prize pool. These three gentlemen have made a deal. David with 342,000 chips, Vu with 304,000 in chips, and Mayer 163,000 in chips. But with the blinds at this high, it's still anyone's game, so I do not mind them making a deal. So David, Vu, and Mayer all taking home some profit here on this Friday night, $1,500 guaranteed $100 re-entry tournament. Over 1,900 in the pot, and they're all taking a part of that home. And don't forget, a week from tomorrow, August 3rd, is the first of three qualifiers, and for the $20,000 free roll championship on October 12th. These players today got some extra chips for this qualifier. Any cash games you play, high hands, being the first 9 players of the day, first 9 players of the tournaments. Many, many ways to get chips into this August 3rd qualifier. But everyone is eligible and has chips for only a $25 entry fee. Even if you haven't been able to make it out to the club in July, you still have that $5,000 chip stack to start with, which is more than enough to see some hands and spin it up. The normal tournament starting at 100, 200, and all you're trying to do is make it into that top 15%. That top 15% from each one of these 3 qualifiers punches their ticket into the $20,000 free roll championship on October 12th. So don't miss the first of only 3 chances to get into that top 15%. August 3rd, a week from tomorrow, for $25. Any of the chips that you have accrued for the month of July will be waiting for you in that chip stack. But even if you haven't been able to make it out too much to Poker House Fort Worth, you're still going to have that 5,000 starting stack just for being a member with us. And you can spin that up and try to get into the top 15% to qualify for the $20,000 free roll championship. And you only have 3 chances to do this. So don't miss your opportunity next Saturday, August 3rd at Poker House Fort Worth. We want to thank everyone for tuning in to this Friday night tournament stream. Look forward towards a lot more streams coming from Poker House Fort Worth. And if you would like to be on any of the streams, you can sign up for some of our scheduled games. Those can be found on Facebook. We have the ladies streams on Sunday. We have DJ's game Wednesdays at 7 o'clock. And find yourself on stream playing some of our tournaments coming up with lots of announcements coming up as well for the month of August for Poker House Fort Worth. Lots of big things, lots of things I'd love to talk to you guys about. but just have to wait for next week to hear a lot about what's coming up at Poker House Fort Worth. Once again, thanks for tuning in to our Facebook, to our YouTube. And if you have any questions, send us a message on Facebook. And until next time, my name is Reese, and look forward to seeing you at Poker House Fort Worth.